Hi guys. So we're in for another week of some pretty crazy energies. So we're going to talk about that. Today is October 4th. We're going to talk about the energies all the way up to the 10th, which is next Saturday. Couple of things before we start. I have a whole bunch of Libra season specials on my website. The information is in the description box below. Tarot readings, there are Akashic readings. I actually just refilled those because they were sold out. So there are Akashic readings available if you want to clear out your past life. There are astrology readings available if you need to get some answers with that. And tarot readings also available. And some Reiki specials too. I have. So, and if you have any questions, obviously you can come ask me. Mercury is going retrograde, not this week, but next week. And I'm already starting to feel myself like I have to slow down to talk. Otherwise I'm like, blah, 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 blah. So I'm already starting to feel those effects of Mercury going retrograde. So please excuse me in advance if I start to sound a little like I'm stuttering a little bit. That's why. Okay, so today is the 4th. Pluto went direct this morning at 9:33 Eastern Standard Time. Pluto started his shadow period of going retrograde in January, and he went direct on January 3rd. He started his shadow, and he went direct today at that same degree. And so honestly, for the last 5 months, when Pluto went retrograde earlier this year, the last 5 months is something that we've all really needed to look at. And this is where, like, are you really living your purpose? Are you really living your dream? Are you allowing yourself to be super, super honest and transformational with your process? Because if you're not, you will probably feel the backlash of that. There's, people that are struggling to figure out what it is that they're supposed to be doing right now. If they're not paying attention to what their intuition is telling them, or they're not paying attention to the lessons that are coming up, with having the Saturn retrograde, and we have the Jupiter retrograde. Now, all of those players are direct. And they're all in Capricorn. And this is the last time we're going to see Pluto, Saturn, and Jupiter in Capricorn during our lifetime. So really pay attention to how things start to shift with this Pluto going direct. And it's more in a collective kind of energy way. We're going to see some pretty big surprises, I think, this week, especially with all the power plays that are happening in the sky, which is really the theme. The theme this week is about, are you going to succumb to the power struggles, or are you going to stay in your own lane and create your own magic? Because we have Jupiter sextile Neptune all week long as well. And, having that kind of energy surrounding us this whole time, you have this opportunity, you have this magical stuff that's going on with Jupiter sextile Neptune. And if we're not tapping into that and we're paying attention to all of the lower vibrational energies and not paying attention to the higher vibrational energies, there's a lot of stuff that we can miss out on. So really pay attention to, are you allowing yourself to get caught up in the drama and the bullshit, or are you staying in your own lane? Are you paying attention to what you're supposed to be doing, whether you're a healer like me, or whether you're somebody who is an artist, or whether you're somebody that paints houses for a living, or whether, it doesn't matter whether you sit in a cubicle all day, you still have the opportunity to say, I'm going to choose the higher vibrational stuff and not the lower vibrational stuff. So, the moon is also in Taurus. The moon is trining Jupiter today. And that sort of gives us that opportunity to be, to feel the emotional, because Jupiter is the planet of expansion, right? So we get to have this sort of emotional recharge if we want to. Very creative energy. The moon trining Jupiter is very creative energy. So if you're feeling this powerful push forward, that's probably more so the moon trining Jupiter than Pluto going direct. Because I think that Pluto going direct is going to be a much bigger, obvious statement, and not so much just in like our personal lives, because Pluto is revolutionary, right? That's the generational revolutionary, and it's digging deep into the underworld. It's like having to look into the underbelly of everything and making sure that we did it all right the first time so that we don't have to repeat anything. And there's a lot of stuff that I feel like we're going to be repeating as we come up because we didn't learn the lesson the first time. So tomorrow, the 5th of October, the moon is in Taurus, and it's going to be trining Pluto and Saturn. So the sort of, having the moon in Taurus is always really nice. I love a good moon in Taurus phase. It always makes me feel a little bit softer than I normally would be, just because I'm a Virgo and I like that earth energy, and it gives me an opportunity to relax. I actually schedule most of my stuff around the moon in Taurus and around the moon in Capricorn because I know it affects me so much with all of the earth energy that I have in my chart. I do so much better during air and fire moons than I do water and earth. So and that's just kind of a little tip for you guys. Like, I think that we should all be scheduling things by the moon phases, but that's just me. I mean, that's not realistic for a lot of people, but that's my bag. That's what I do. But with the moon trining Pluto and the moon trining Saturn, this is sort of giving, like, shining a little bit of that moonlight, if you will, on the responsibilities, the things that we need to take care of. Taurus is also they're the workhorses, right? Like yes, Capricorn is the workhorse. Yes, Virgo is the workhorse. And Taurus is known about doing the work a little bit slower than what a Capricorn or a Virgo might do it, but they still get it done and they work really, really hard. They just do it in their own time. So, but this trining Pluto and Saturn, it's like Saturn is the father of time. So I don't know how much we're actually going to get leeway on getting things done in the timely manner that we want to get them done. It's like, no, you got to get it done on my schedule and not your schedule. So that's going to be tomorrow on the 5th. The 6th on Tuesday, the moon is in Gemini, and the moon is going to be squaring Venus in Gemini. So you might have a lot of emotional reactions when it comes to, like Venus is the planet of love, and it's the planet of, money and love and material stuff and all of that. But I also very much see Venus as the planet of self-worth, because she really guides us to how we're not only loving other people, but how we're also loving ourselves. So when we have the moon square Venus, these emotions will come up. And the Gemini moon is the intellectual moon of it all, right? So Venus is in Virgo, and Virgo is really, really hard on themselves. And so having Venus in Virgo, that's a really tough placement for Venus to be in. And so you may find yourself needing to give yourself a little extra emotional love on Tuesday and, kind of give yourself a break. Be a little bit more patient, because we do have the power play of, and we're going to get there, but we do have the power play that's sort of like covering the entire week of the Mars squaring Pluto. So Pluto's direct, Mars is retrograde in Aries, and so that is sort of like an umbrella covering of the entire week. We're going to feel that build up all week long until we get there on Friday. So being patient with yourself, being kind with yourself, not getting in fights with other people. This is really about standing in your own power, in your own sovereignty, and saying, I know who I am. I know that I can take care of myself. I know that I love myself deeply, and nobody else is allowed in my space to do that. And I think that this entire summer, well, this entire year really, has been kind of the lighthouse for us to pay attention to ourselves more so than constantly giving ourselves to other people. I know I did a lot of self-work for myself, doing a lot of shadow work and stuff, and I think that this week is like a culmination of the activities that we worked on for most of this year. And so that day on Tuesday, I'm getting my days mixed up. Tuesday, I have everything written down, but I forgot to put the days down. So on Tuesday, having that square Venus, just really pay attention to how you're loving on yourself. Wednesday, the moon is in Gemini. It's trining the sun in Libra. And it's Mercury's also opposing Uranus. This is actually going to be a really good day for your mental faculties. Your mental faculties will probably be on high alert on Wednesday. I feel like there's something this week that's going to happen. Something within the media, with all this Mercury business that's going on, with all this Venus business that's going on, with all this Pluto business that's going on. I feel like something's going to happen, something pretty big. Like, it won't be, just under the radar business that's going on, but there's some kind of news that's going to come out. Or, I mean, we've already had like all of this Mercury and Scorpio stuff, but with Mercury in Scorpio in its shadow period to go retrograde opposite Uranus, Uranus rules social media, basically. I mean, that's how I see it. I know a lot of people will probably argue with me on that point, but I feel like Uranus is the planet of innovation. It's the planet of the internet. It's the, everything that really comes out of the social, like the media aspect in general, or even social media aspect, is Uranus to me. That's the way that I see all of that. So Mercury opposing Uranus is going to be a very interesting day. So Wednesday, and the Gemini moon trining Libra, those are both very intellectual signs. So there's sort of this like, big activity, mental activity, communication activity happening on Wednesday. Thursday, we have the moon in Gemini moving to the moon in Cancer. So we're going to be going from more intellectual capacity stuff to feeling, probably having the feels a little bit more. The Cancer moon is always very interesting nowadays because we have all of this energy going on in Aries, and since we're in Libra season, the sun is in Libra, Mars is in Aries, and Pluto, Jupiter, and Saturn are all in Capricorn. And so when we have that Cancer moon come up and the moon is opposing everything at some point, right? So it's going to be a really interesting emotionally power struggle kind of week. And then we get to the 9th, which is Friday, where Mars is squaring Pluto. And the moon is also going to be sextiling Uranus and Venus, and it'll be trining Mercury. So that emotional twist with the power struggle of Mars squaring Pluto. One of these days I'll actually do the chart with you guys too. When I get settled in to be able to have all of the things that I'm doing, I'll be able to show this to you guys a little bit better. But when we have that sextile, so having a sextile is an easier relationship. A trine or a sextile is an easier relationship. So the moon is working well with Venus, and it's working well with Uranus, and it's working well with Mercury. But at the same time, having that power struggle there, so your emotions are being triggered and your anger is being triggered, or your need to be right, your need to, like Mars and Pluto are both really big players, and they're fighting off each other. It's almost, to me, this is almost more of a sharp square than Mars with Saturn. Mars and Saturn is also a really big power struggle, and we've seen that a couple of times. And again, with this Mars retrograde, it's going to square with Pluto, and then it's going to square with Jupiter, and then Mars will go direct in December, and then it'll square off with everything all over again. So, really paying attention to what's happening on Friday, and then we have Saturday where Venus is trining Uranus, and then the moon will be opposing Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn. So the moon in Cancer will be opposing Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn, and that's going to be a really tough, and that happens every single month. While all of these big players are in Capricorn, every month when we hit that Cancer moon, there's going to be that opposing energy. And so we have this emotionally charged power struggle of a week. And staying in your lane is a really good thing. And not allowing yourself to get riled up by what other people are saying or doing. Because most of the time they're projecting things onto you, or most of the time they don't have all of the information, and so they're assuming that their perception is skewed, right? Especially right now with Mercury being in Scorpio, we all really want to like dig super deep and like be the investigators and figure things out and make sure that we're the ones that are right and everybody else is wrong. And that can be, this week, that can be a real problem. If you try and prove that you're right and everybody else is wrong this week, you could get a lot of pushback. So accepting what is, and even if you know you're right and you want to argue the point, I'm just going to say don't do it. Like, really, there isn't, unless it's life or death, which usually it isn't, then don't argue the point. You see what I'm saying? Like, there's no point in wrestling up energy that doesn't need to be argued. So, but also with the self-worth, the Venus trining Uranus, I always call that the love revolution, right? That's like the switch up and the change on, like, how are you really paying attention to your own self-worth? How are you really paying attention to the way that other people are treating you? How are you managing your money right now? How are you creating the life that you love? Where are your joys and passions coming from? Are they coming from somebody else's ideas? Are they coming from the world's perspective? Or are you digging deep, Pluto, right? Getting into the underbelly and digging really deep and transforming yourself to grow and prosper, and not based on what other people are saying or acting or doing or all of that, but really paying attention to what it is that you need to do. Next week, we have a whole bunch of interesting energies as well. This does not slow down for a while. And next week, Mercury goes retrograde. So we'll talk about that as we get closer. I am going to pull a couple of cards because I didn't do this last week, and I thought maybe let's go ahead. So if you guys would rather have like daily updates to know what's going on a daily basis and get a little bit more in-depth stuff and card pulls. Oh, look at this. Dang. All right. So if you guys want to get daily updates, I do daily energy updates for the memberships. We also do mid-month love readings. I'm actually going to start rolling those out this week as I have the time to do it, because I want to try and get as much done as I can before Mercury retrograde starts. Just really heavily ruled by it. And I've learned my lesson from past Mercury retrogrades to try and get as much business done as I can before it starts. And then, so we do all of that in the memberships. You can join below here, or you can go to Patreon and join there. There's so much in the memberships. I can't even like name all of it. There's so much happening in the memberships right now. So the card, and I'm just going to leave these cards out the way they came out. So there's a decision when it comes around a relationship. We have the Two of Wands with the Lovers. And then over here we have the Tower, we have the Nine of Wands, we have the Three of Swords, and we have the King of Cups. So I feel like somebody got some pretty crappy news when it comes to a relationship, and it's like they don't even want to fight anymore. There's almost a healing type energy that's happening here. And I am going to clarify some of these because I'm super interested to, like, I'm just nosy, I guess. Just the nosy bitch. So I'm going to clarify some of these, but I do feel like it's time, you have to make a decision. It's now or never. You have to either show up and allow yourself to kind of say, I don't, take the high road. Either show up and take the high road or let it go. Because there's this like back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. If you're doing a back and forth with anybody right now, it's probably not that person that you're supposed to be with. Because it's like things like that. That's the power struggle that I'm talking about. That's the thing that we don't want to get ourselves involved in is that back and forth and back and forth. Let's see what the Two of Wands and the Lovers is. Okay. And then we have the Tower. Okay, so on the Two of Wands and the Lovers, I got the Ace of Cups. So the Ace of Cups for me is more about self-worth and loving yourself, self-care, self-worth, filling up your own cup, loving yourself so much that your cup is so full that nobody can like take that away from you. Nobody can take that vibe away from you. And then the High Priestess on the Tower. Intuitively, you knew that this Tower moment was going to happen. Whatever the Tower moment was, whatever the argument was, whatever the downfall was, whatever it was, you knew intuitively, like you felt it coming, you knew that it was happening. And I feel like that this King of Cups, you know, and we're all basically the King of Cups right now with Scorpio and Mercury and Scorpio. I keep doing that. With Mercury and Scorpio, we're all basically the King of Cups right now because it's an emotional aspect that we don't necessarily want to be honest about, but we almost have to be. It's like we can't hold ourselves back. Okay. So we have, okay. Somebody found out, it feels like somebody found out about a third-party situation possibly, and it really, really, really is very painful. But at the same time, it's like you're also recognizing what is for you and what's not for you. So we have another ace. We have the Ace of Wands with the Queen of Cups and the Queen of Swords. And these three here, the Queen of Cups and the Queen of Wands with the Ace of Wands. I think I said the Queen of Swords. I meant the Queen of Wands. Sorry. That came out on the Nine of Wands and the Three of Swords. I feel like somebody has a decision to make when it comes to other people. And maybe it's not a third-party situation. Maybe it's just that you know that you have two different people in your corner here and you got to figure out which one. And it's like you have chemistry with both of them, but you got to figure out which one's going to be better for you. And I think that you don't want to have to fight for it. You don't want to have to chase it. You don't want to have to make it happen. And so I'm going to say that it's easier to not force it. It's easier to just sort of allow it to unfold. And I also feel, oh wow, and then there's the Queen of Swords. Okay, so there's lots of energies here. Somebody's a player. Somebody is a player. And if this King of Cups doesn't make the decision, between I feel like the Queen of Swords is going to make the decision for him, and it won't be pretty. And I think that that's what this Tower moment is over here. One person is going to make the decision and everybody else is just going to have to deal with it, or something like that. Like this King of Cups, the situation that he's got himself in right now, trying to figure out, you know, what direction he's supposed to be going in. This Tower is looming this week. Like there's going to be a decision made. So if you're doing this in your life and you're juggling a whole bunch of different people because you're afraid to hurt somebody or you're afraid to break somebody's heart, it would be easier for you to let them go and just make a choice and make a decision than keep holding on to something that just is not serving you anymore, because this feels like a lot of drama. All right, you guys, I love you. Have a really lovely week. I hope that you are all doing well. I know I said have a really lovely week during a power struggle week, but they're all kind of a power struggle, so I don't know. And again, if you need anything from me, you know where to find me. Come hang out with us on the memberships and get a reading if you need to. I love you guys. Bye.